Kia ora itiiwi, welcome to No Boundaries. These are the scenes from Trinidad this evening after the BLACKCAPS slumped to a 13-run loss to the West Indies in their second group match of this T20 World Cup. It leaves them still with a mathematical chance of progressing, but realistically, effectively needing a miracle. And just before we get into things, I would just like to apologise for the brief disruption you may have experienced at the back end of that BLACKCAPS innings. Right, let's get into things, shall we? I've got Colin Munro and Mike Hesson standing by with me. I must say, team, at this stage, I'm feeling a little bit deflated. How about you?
Yeah, I'm just extremely gutted, I think. Gutted for the boys that are playing. Yeah, it wasn't through lack of effort tonight. You saw that we won majority of that game. It was just like those last two overs in the first innings, and probably one player, Shafane Rutherford, was the difference.
Yeah, look, I think a better performance than the other day for sure, but to have the West Indies 112 for 9, you know, those last two games changed the innings from a well below par score to a well above par score, and then obviously New Zealand weren't good enough for the bat.
Well, let's just catch you up quickly on what did happen. A brief match summary for you. New Zealand winning the toss first up, electing to bowl the West Indies, setting a target of 150 on a tricky surface. The efforts led by a fighting effort from Shafane Rutherford with 68 off 39. New Zealand only able to manage 136 in response. Glenn Phillips, the pick of the batters there, with 40 runs. And if we see how that translates into the points table, well, unfortunately, if you're a New Zealand fan, this is a not pretty viewing. New Zealand right at the bottom there with their two matches played, 0 wins on the board. Losses to Afghanistan followed by the West Indies today. The Windies and Afghanistan are in the box seat at the moment. You'd expect them to progress unless there is some sort of upset of massive proportions. There's a lot to get into, team, but let's just start with today's game. What went wrong?
I just think 2 overs, really. You know, I think the way that we came out, there was a lot of talk about our energy in the field in the first game. I thought the boys rallied around each other and came back really strong, bowled, you know, adapted to conditions really well. You know, Tim Southee and Trent Boult really set the tone up front. And then, unfortunately, you know, it's obviously easy sitting here. I think, you know, Kane probably missed the boat a little bit in terms of not bowling Mitchell Satner a little bit earlier. But again, you've got to give hands, you know, credit to where credit's due with Shafane playing that blinder at the end there.
Yeah, look, I think I don't mind the idea of trying to spend your resources to try and bowl the West Indies out. You know, 112 for 9 suggests that you've done a good job, but I think Mitchell Satner is a good enough bowler to bowl to left-handers during those early death overs, 15, 17. And once you do that, you don't have the pressure of having to bowl. You know, Daryl Mitchell, to be fair, he's had to bowl at the death in 2 games in a row now. Now, that can't be your plan heading into a World Cup. It just can't be. So, you know, that's a disappointing position. I don't think he would have had to do that if he used Mitchell Satner earlier. So those 2 overs, yeah, certainly cost the game in terms of the, you know, New Zealand had to chase a score, so had to go hard. And from a batting point of view, it was a tough surface to increase the rate.
I want to pick up on Shafane Rutherford there because he had a blinder of a performance, and you don't want to undersell what he was able to do on a surface, like you say, that very few other batters seemed able to get any purchase on at all. When a guy is in this sort of nick, is there anything you can really do to stop him?
Well, having been fortunate enough to play with Shafane in some of the franchise tournaments around the world, he's totally different compared to most of those West Indian players that are probably leg side dominant. He can hit you over the offside like he did against Mitchell Satner in that last over, and he hits the ball so well around the ground. He's really hard to bowl to, especially once he's set and knows the pace of the wicket.
Yeah, look, he's one of those guys that you've actually got to get out, haven't you? Because he is so good. We talked off air about his numbers from 10 to 20 overs. He's one of the best going around. So you've got to find a way of getting him out. And that's why I think the Mitchell-Satner matchup, although it might have been risky earlier on, it also gives you the chance to get him out. And he's not going to be as confident to take those risks earlier on if he's bowling, say, the 15th or 17th over. The bowl the 20th over, it's a free hit, really. Yeah,
but as a left-handed batter, personally, it's even if the wicket is spinning and some are staying low, you can't just try and hit every ball for 6. So with Shafane at 15 or 16, when they are 7 or 8 wickets down, he won't have the freedom to play what he did like he did in the last couple of overs. So, you know, with the wicket being a little bit up and down and some spinning, some going through, it's not just the ball spinning in, every ball's going. So he had to pick and choose his right shots.
And we saw how well the West Indies spinners bowled. You know, they bowl to left right-handers. You know, they're off spinners, they're left armers. So your spinners could still have played a massive role on that surface.
I want to talk to you a bit about preparation as well, because we talked about this after the Afghanistan game, Mike, and how we were questioning whether the preparation was correct. The team has also talked in camp this week about how their practice wickets weren't very good and they were only able to effectively do fielding training in some of the lead up to this. How much of that do you think has played a role in the result that we saw today?
Well, I don't think there should be any surprises for anybody that the pitches in the West Indies practice pitches are poor. They always have been. They're not actually, you can't turn up there underdone and go, oh, we're going to put the work in while we're over there, because they just do not prepare decent practice surfaces. So that's a given. So, I mean, you know, there are so many players there that were short of cricket, and we're literally 5 days into a tournament and New Zealand are out of it effectively. So you've got to hit the ground running, and I think New Zealand on reflection will have to look at this and go, look, sure, some players might want to rest at the IPL, but we're only a week into this and we're already done. So you know, nine of those players had not played in months, you know, heading into that first game. So yeah, certainly underprepared is at best.
Well, we will have plenty more on this to come, but we will take a quick break now because we have Black Caps assistant coach Luke Ronke standing by. We'll be with him after the break. Hoki mai anō, welcome back to No Boundaries as we do dissect this Black Caps' latest loss to the West Indies over in Trinidad at the T20 World Cup. Now, we do feel very fortunate to be joined by a member of the Black Caps camp at the moment. Luke Ronke is standing by for us, still at the ground, I believe, Luke. And I would warn there is a little bit of a delay here, so just bear with us slightly. But Luke, we really appreciate your time. It's a difficult time given the circumstances, obviously. How is everyone feeling at the moment?
Yeah, as can be expected. Obviously, there's a down mood in the change rooms, which I guess you would be after 2 losses to start the World Cup. So it's not the position we want to find ourselves in, or the position you come over to be in either. So it's a bit down. So it's understandable.
G'day, Ronk. So again, mate. Obviously, tough luck tonight. I think. Obviously played in the CPL before with you. We know the conditions are so tough, and sometimes it's really hard for the viewers at home to know what's happening with the wicket. You can't see the up and down nature too much, but in these first 2 games in Guyana, and especially here at Trinidad, I was really surprised by the way the wicket played on TV. So what was the communication between the batters going into our innings?
Yeah, Manas, you're right. They have been different. So I think Guyana sort of, I get in the past, it's sort of been the traditional sort of Guyana wicket with a bit up and down nature. The wicket here tonight was a lot more up and down than I guess than usual here. But you could see early on, you could tell there was a little bit of waviness in the surface. So we knew there's going to be some up and down, and we definitely saw that. But I think again, if you see, Shafane and Rutherford seemed to make it look quite easy at times. So we needed someone to be in that position to bat through an innings and pick up those big overs when needed. And unfortunately, we weren't quite able to do that.
Yeah, Ronks Hess here. Obviously, quite a lot of your batting lineup haven't played a huge amount of cricket for a while. How have you been able to try and get them ready, or as ready as they can be, given the fact that practice surfaces over there have always been poor and they haven't really come off much cricket? What's your role in that?
Yeah, the massive thing is obviously the prep stuff has been a massive talking point, but the guys have played a lot of cricket. They understand their games and how they want to get themselves ready for matches. But again, I think it's shown quite evidently throughout this whole World Cup, the playing surface have been really difficult. So I think it's making sure that when we're at trainings, it's taking that into consideration. I think sometimes guys can get a bit T20 happy, as can happen. They try and hit every ball for 6. So it's making sure in trainings that we're actually pulling it back, and there's a bit of batsmanship, is using your brains a little bit of a nous to make sure that you can work through a half-hour net session with, I guess, game plans and options to make sure that you can put your best foot forward in the match situations.
Luke, I know this isn't necessarily your area per se, but can you just talk us through the strategy of using Daryl Mitchell in that 19th over in both of the matches? What were you hoping to get out of that?
Yeah, I think you could tell. We were trying to bowl them out, so we're using our strike bowlers to get those last few wickets. And Shafane obviously did it quite well with, I guess, hogging the strike, I guess you could call it, and making sure he was the one doing all the damage. And on the surface with that up and down nature, I think the seam option seemed to be quite a hard one. Obviously, their spinners bowled fantastically well, but I think it also did a little bit more up and down sort of while we were bowling. So I think that was the option in that instance, and unfortunately didn't come off today. That's for sure.
Yeah, Ronks, just me again. I know this is, like Kim said, not probably your area, but Ish Sodhi, leg spinner, goes both ways against the West Indies. We know that they are susceptible against it. What's the reasoning there? Is he sort of not feeling it at the moment, or is he, how's he bowling at trainings?
Yeah, no, that's actually got nothing. He was in conversations all the way up until we got here this evening. So it was more the nature of the surface. It just didn't look like it was a very nice surface. It looked like with the wavy nature, I thought it was going to be more the seam options and the extra batter to give us a bit more, punch with the bat. So that was the main reason why Ish wouldn't have played.
Yeah, wrong. So obviously spot on in terms of Kane's obviously using his resources to try and bowl out the West Indies. What do you think was a pass score on that?
Well, I guess Shafane, the way he finished that innings off, they definitely got above par. We were doing a fantastic job throughout the innings, and they had a couple of sort of some big overs. But then I think you could probably look at 130 being a pass score on that, with one person making a significant contribution. So we just weren't able to quite get that. But you can see, obviously, Mitch Sutton in that last over made it a little bit closer. But again, we were just off the mark with what we were trying to chase down.
Look, you're obviously in a really tough situation now in the context of the tournament as a whole. How do you go about getting the group back up for these remaining group matches, knowing that it is only really a mathematical chance now that the team progresses?
Yeah, definitely. But again, it's playing international cricket for New Zealand. That's what this team is. It's how you should be. You should be here and you should be proud and honoured and grateful to be given a chance to play for New Zealand. So if you can't get yourself up to play for New Zealand, then I think you need a little bit of a reality check. But it's the same thing. You're going out there and you're doing it together. It's not individuals going out there one-on-one. It's a team. We're going to go out there and play the best of the crew we can in any given situation.
And Luke, just lastly, I guess, is there anything that you would like to say on behalf of the team in the wake of the start of this tournament to your fans back over here in New Zealand who are probably scratching their heads a little bit at this stage?
Yeah, I understand that, but it's like everyone's still supporting. We're going out there and trying to play the best cricket we can in the positions we are. We haven't, gone out there and played to the best of our abilities. But again, the guys are fighting hard. They're going out there and contesting as best they can at the moment. And unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of some results. So we've still got 2 more games. We're going to go out there and keep competing and keep doing our best. And that's the plan going forward.
Well, we can't wait to watch, Luke. Thank you so much for your time again in the wake of that. It is very much appreciated. Appreciate all of you guys' work, and we look forward to watching the back end of this group stage.
Thanks, Ronks.
Thanks, Ronks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Stay with us. Next up, we look forward at the next couple of matches for the Black Caps and work out what it all means as they head to the back end of this group stage of the tournament. Hoki Maiano, welcome back to No Boundaries. Great to have Luke Ronke with us just before. Very much appreciate someone from the team fronting at a tough time. It is not always easy, and so we very much do respect that. Just before we look forward now to what the Black Caps have ahead of them, I just wanted to ask, I guess, a couple of bigger picture questions about their campaign, assuming that at this stage they do not get out of the group stage. Who's accountable here? Does there need to be some accountability for this performance? Well,
Hess, you've been in management more than me or leadership, so I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah, look, I mean, there will be a review. I mean, there is a review after every main event, World Cup, and so there should be. And I think there needs to be accountability. I mean, you're here representing your country, and you need to be just checked in terms of, hey, have we actually gone about this the best way we can? Or, have we made the right decisions for the right reasons? And those questions need to be asked. Absolutely they do. So the High Performance Department, I'm sure the CEO will be asking the High Performance Director, Brian Stronach, to run a review and just ask those questions. And if the answer is, yep, we did everything we can, we were just outplayed, we didn't play very well, that's fine. But it will probably highlight a few things that, hey, if we were in this situation again, we need to do them differently.
And you're both very close to a number of members in this team, and I'm thinking, guys, the likes of your Tim Southies, your Trent Bolts, your Kane Williamsons, those really senior members who we want to treasure while we've still got them, really. How will they be feeling about this?
Oh, they'll be hurting big time. Maybe sometime it might be their last T20 World Cup. You never know. Yeah, we'll soon find out, but yeah, they'll be hurting big time. I've played with them a number of times, and they're so passionate about playing for New Zealand. That's why they've stuck around for as long as they have. So yeah, they'll be hurting.
Yeah, and I mean, Trent came out before the World Cup and said this is probably the best World Cup team that he's ever been a part of in terms of the most talented. So, you know, they will be gutted because the game started the tournament happens so fast that you just can't drop the ball. And I think New Zealand will be really disappointed with the way we've started, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, let's look forward because they do still have games coming up against Uganda and Papua New Guinea. I mean, what needs to happen now? Is it just a matter of go out there, score as big as you can and hope for the best?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's all we can do and just hope. But I think, like Luke said, it's playing for your country, playing at a World Cup. There's a lot of pride at stake too. You don't want to go and play on a wicket like that. Luke was saying that was worse than the Guyana wicket, which it doesn't usually happen. So when you do play against the minnows on a dodgy wicket, it brings the teams closer together. So we can't actually take the foot off the pedal. We need to go and prepare well and play well.
And I'm sure we will. I mean, we're a professional team. The likes of Finn Allen, Rutchin, Glenn Phillips haven't played a huge amount of world events, so a great opportunity for them to play some more, make a contribution, make sure that if they're good enough to get to the next one, that they'll be better prepared. So, you know, there's still a huge amount to achieve in these next couple of games. So
if you were in Gary Stead's position at the moment, Mike, position that you have, of course, occupied before, would you be looking at this situation and going, OK, maybe it is the time for blooding these players and looking a little bit beyond this tournament potentially?
Well, look, I mean, 14 of the 15 players have already played. So, I mean, Ish is the only one who hasn't sort of stripped yet. So, he did make some changes today. I think, Luke's point of, like, if you can't get up for a World Cup playing for your country, then, you need a bit of a reality check. I think that's a really good point. And I'm not suggesting they are, but it's a really good time for Gary and Kane to go, well, hey, who are the guys that we see moving forward, playing a big part for us in future world events?
Colin, what would you like to see from this group going forward? Is it just a bit of pride more than anything?
No, I think they are proud. Like he said, these guys have come out. Yeah, the preparation hasn't been fantastic. I don't think they're going to use that as an excuse. But we've just been outplayed, and that's the reality. It's not that we're a bad team. We've played some really good cricket, like Luke said, over a number of years now. And for us to just come up short in 2 games, and yeah, it happened really quick, didn't it? Like we didn't play any games, and then all of a sudden we played 2 against, probably in those conditions, 2 really tough teams. Yep. And to come up against them bang bang and lose those 2, people will be asking questions. But yeah, it's not their preparation or the way they go about it. They'll come back strong, and I would love to see Ish Sodhi play against, especially Uganda and Papua New Guinea, a guy that can bowl, spin both ways against those 2 teams. I reckon he'll be a huge match winner for us in those next 2 games if he gets the opportunity.
And they'll have a lot of familiarity with the ground, of course, because they will be playing in Trinidad again for the next games. Will that help them?
Look, I think it will. I think they'll probably lower their expectations in terms of what a pass score is. I mean, we saw that up and down nature. Those seamers that are able to bash away and hit a hard length are very difficult. So you've got to be a little bit proactive. As I said, you've probably got to lower your sights in terms of what's a good score, and then just try and find different ways to apply some pressure. So, yeah, New Zealand will be better equipped, and hopefully they'll be better. I mean, they're better than they were against Afghanistan. You'd like to think they'll step up again.
A slightly deflating day, team, but we're still behind the boys, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Always behind the boys. Thank you so much for your time, Mike Hess and Colin Munro. Very much appreciate it. Appreciate your time as well here on No Boundaries. Been a pleasure having you with us. Do stay tuned on Saturday for the Black Caps' next matchup. That is against Uganda. They then take on Papua New Guinea on Tuesday. The campaign, they might need a miracle, but hey, it's not over yet. And we Black Caps fans, we've long dared to dream, haven't we? So we will see you then. But in the meantime, have a very good night.